Let's turn now to our forecast. More specifically, let's talk about the tropics with Tropical Storm Melissa. You know, it's been very slow moving right now, but a lot of people shouldn't underestimate the power that this storm will bring.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail right on the head. We are seeing this storm moving at a snail's pace, about 2 miles per hour towards the north and the northwest. And what that's going to allow Melissa to do is continue to strengthen and intensify. Right now, the maximum sustained winds are a little bit slower than what we saw yesterday. But this is only going to give Melissa more chances to grow. Slower and weaker storms, they typically travel westward a little bit longer. Now, if you see a storm intensify quickly in the open waters of the Caribbean, what it's going to do is stack vertically a lot higher. That vertical stacking will allow it to tap into upper level stream winds and then recurve towards the north and the east much sooner. But with this traveling west, what it's going to do is encounter some of the warmest waters that we have across the world right here in the Caribbean and only allow it to grow into possibly our next major hurricane or potentially even a Category 4. Where it stands right now is about 300 miles towards the south and the east of Kingston, 200 miles just south of Haiti. And you see the bands of rain continuing to dump down on the Caribbean. These stretch as far east as Puerto Rico, as a matter of fact. So tropical storm warnings are in place for Jamaica right now. A hurricane watch in place for southwestern Haiti. And as we take a look at the intensity models, likely by Monday, most models are indicating that this is going to be a major Category 3 hurricane or potentially even stronger as we move across the work week. So hurricane force winds likely going to be felt across Jamaica all throughout the upcoming work week. You see it turning from a Category 3 to a Category 4 just south of the island there. And then once it does become a Category 4, it's likely going to make that turn towards the north and the east, that pivot that we're anticipating, in which most of the spaghetti plots are indicating that. Now, there are a couple different scenarios. As we mentioned, first and foremost, that westward track, possibly not so likely, right? However, the most likely track is starting towards the north and the west and then recurving towards the north and the east once we have that major hurricane on our hands with that higher vertical stacking, tapping into the upper level steering winds. Now, if it does strengthen a lot faster, the less likely path is that recurve towards the north and the east, pulling it over Hispaniola there. But here is the projection for tropical storm, soon to be Hurricane Melissa. And what's going to help us out here in Florida is the next front moving in. That's going to block us off from any of those tropical storm force winds as we head into your upcoming work week. So still watching out for heavy rainfall across the Caribbean. Right now, Melissa is meandering until it becomes a major hurricane. And as I mentioned, that next cold front will aid us tremendously. None of the ensemble models are going to show this system making landfall in the United States. Out of all 83, the Euro and the GFS, we're showing that similar path towards the north and the east still. High pressure over us today. That means more sunshine here in Central Florida. Temperature-wise, we're back in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Nothing to show on our live radar. And for the rest of the day into tomorrow, we'll watch that next cold front push towards the south, keeping us under that north and easterly flow. So this weekend, we will see that increased chance for rip current conditions. However, today, calm weather. Tomorrow, we're stacking up the upper 50s and mid 60s across our inland communities, lower 70s as you wake up. Then we're back in the mid 80s inland tomorrow. Lots of sunshine as we conclude your work week on Friday. Rain chances aren't back until this weekend, Sunday at 30% coverage. With that stalled frontal boundary to our south, we'll open the gate for a little bit more rainfall, and we'll carry that precipitation into the start of your work week. But before then, lots of sunshine today, tomorrow, and to start off your weekend with highs in the low 80s.
Welcome back. West 2 is committed to finding forever homes for every shelter pet here in Central Florida.
And that's why for our Wesh to the Rescue initiative, we are giving a special spotlight each and every week to animals waiting to be adopted right now. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for Wesh to the Rescue as we sit down with our friends from the Halifax Humane Society. That's tomorrow right here on Wesh 2 News at noon. We'll see which one of us gets to bring the dog tomorrow. We always fight over it. All right, electric car maker Rivian just launched a new suite of electric bikes.
So one of them is an electric quad designed to carry big loads and use bike lanes. Suzanne Fan gives us a closer look.
This is unlike any other e-bike that exists today. And the reason is the propulsion system. There is no chain, there is no derailleur.
Rivian and its micro-mobility startup called Also have launched a new electric bike.
We're really excited about our TMQ, which is a pedal assist quad.
A new electric quad is also drawing a lot of interest because it's an electric bike that can carry more people, and more things.
So you're actually looking at an e-bike. It's got 4 wheels, but it's an e-bike.
The quad has pedal assist. It's the same width as a large cargo e-bike, and it's designed to be used in a bike lane. While regulations vary by area, experts say using the new electric quad in bike lanes will open up new opportunities for faster and more efficient travel and deliveries.
There's drop-offs, there's family errands, there's small businesses that are moving goods.
Also, leaders say there's a new collaboration between their electric quad and Amazon to facilitate future deliveries.
And so we're really excited, for example, to be working with Amazon.
But this stretch here is separated by plastic posts so that people who are biking.
Luke Bornheimer is with Streets Forward. He says electric quads are already being used in other cities.
This has been really popular in New York City and other cities. It helps to get cars off the road and reduces car traffic, makes streets safer, and also, allows us to move more people and more items in less space.
The electric quads have yet to be launched in the Bay Area, but Bornheimer says they are promising for reducing congestion and for the future of transportation.
Commercial deliveries is a big part of car traffic and truck traffic in cities in general, but they're very space inefficient things, big trucks, cars carrying big items. And so shifting those trips, shifting those deliveries to bikes is a great thing that will increase demand for protected bike lanes.
Pretty cool. So the launch edition will cost $4,500 and will be available in the spring. There will be a slightly cheaper version that will hit the market in the second half of 2026.
There could be a new resource in the fight against cancer.
Still ahead at noon, the new study between the coronavirus vaccine and people who are living with cancer.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it.
Some contradicting words as the east wing of the White House is expected to be demolished within days. Next at noon, the reaction from the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Thanks for staying with us this afternoon. We want to check back in with meteorologist Marquise Mita, tracking beautiful weather here in Central Florida, but also keeping an eye on Melissa, who showed up late in the game to cause us all some stress.
Yes, we have less than a month and a half left of the
Yeah.
hurricane season. And Melissa is likely going to be our next major hurricane. So while conditions here in Central Florida are trending quiet, we do have quite the tropical storm brewing. No significant changes since the 11 o'clock advisory. Maximum sustained winds still at 45 miles per hour as the system itself is moving rather slow across the open waters of the Caribbean. But these are some of the warmest waters across the Gulf, the Atlantic, and the Caribbean. Take a look at all this energy here, and with that westward projection, this is what's going to be feeding into that center of circulation, only allowing Melissa to continue to grow. Water temperatures just outside of Jamaica, anywhere between the mid and the upper 80s. And the warmer the water, the more instability that this particular tropical storm is going to contain. As we move over time, this weekend, we're likely going to be dealing with our next hurricane on Saturday. As we head into Monday, though, notice how this elevates to a Category 3, on Sunday, a Category 3, and then on Monday, a major Category 4 just south of the island of Jamaica. Now, as far as rainfall is concerned, we'll see a lot more present across South Haiti, in which we could see upwards of 2.5, nearly 3 feet of rain. And this is a very mountainous area, so it will be prone to mudslides and landslides. But the other impact that we're watching out for are the winds. Notice just south of Jamaica, we're dealing with Category 1 hurricane force winds as early as potentially Saturday. And then this system is going to make that turn towards the north and the east, bringing all that hurricane energy right on top of Jamaica. So rain, wind, mudslides, landslides, all on the table across the Caribbean before the system does pivot and turn north and east into the Atlantic. That may influence our wave heights, though, here in Central Florida. And I'll have more on that coming up next time I see you.
All right, Marquise, we'll see you soon. White House officials say the entire East Wing will be gone within a day. This absolutely contradicts what President Donald Trump said this summer. As NBC's Alice Barr reports, it's getting mixed reaction from lawmakers.
Total demolition within days. That's what 2 administration officials tell NBC News is now the fate of the historic East Wing of the White House to make way for President Trump's massive new ballroom.
It'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million.
That ballooning price tag up from $200 million, with the president saying he's covering the cost, along with private donors, among them Comcast, NBC's parent company. The East Wing teardown coming despite this earlier promise.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it.
Now, as the debris pile is growing, so is the backlash.
I just can't believe that the wrecking ball is taken to this iconic structure that symbolizes America and our strength and culture.
The president noting the East Wing, home base to first ladies for decades, has seen changes over the years.
It was never thought of as being much. It was a very small building.
Now, the National Trust for Historic Preservation warning administration officials the planned 90,000 square foot ballroom will overwhelm the White House itself at 55,000 square feet as Americans watch history under renovation. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, take a look at your screens. This video here shows the takedown of a Colombian theft ring in Orange County. The sheriff's office worked with Osceola and Hillsborough counties on this. Deputies say the group spent weeks casing homes in Central Florida, then disguised themselves as lawn care workers to break in. Investigators say drone surveillance teams caught them red-handed before arresting them. 5 people are now charged with burglary of an unoccupied dwelling, grand theft, and criminal mischief. In Commitment 2025, today is your last day to request a mail-in ballot for some elections happening in Volusia County. That includes New Smyrna Beach and Lake Helen. Today is also the deadline to request a vote-by-mail ballot for the upcoming City of Orlando elections. Early voting for new commissioners starts Monday and ends November 2nd. Oil prices rose sharply this morning. The jump comes as traders worry about a squeeze on global supply after the U.S. imposed sanctions on 2 Russian oil companies. The sanctions also hit almost 3 dozen subsidiaries of the 2 companies. The sanctions are an effort to end the war in Ukraine. The lights on Broadway will continue to shine. The union representing Broadway musicians reached a tentative 3-year contract deal with the Broadway League. The deal will avert a strike that had been scheduled to begin today. It includes meaningful wage and health benefit increases that will preserve crucial access to health care for musicians. Today, King Charles and Queen Camilla are meeting Pope Leo XIV for the first time since he was elected in May. This morning, they attended a special service at the Sistine Chapel. It focused on care of creation, a longstanding concern of the kings and a topic which the Pope has highlighted. Significantly, King Charles prayed with the Pope, becoming the first British monarch to pray with a Pope in 500 years. The visit helps to reconcile divisions between the British monarchy and the papacy that go back to the early 1500s. A new study suggests mRNA COVID vaccines effectively prolong the life of certain cancer patients. The study, published in the journal Nature, examined health records of patients getting immunotherapy for lung and skin cancer. The researchers compared the records of patients who received mRNA vaccines with those who had not. According to the study, the vaccines nearly doubled the median survival length of patients who received them. The study's lead author says more research is needed. A century of history, and now it's getting a major league makeover. Still ahead at noon, the big changes transforming Jackie Robinson Ballpark.
It's a shame to be this close to the Mississippi River and not be able to actually access it.
Thousands of people have been cut off from the river. Next at noon, the new effort to reconnect them. Imagine having one of America's greatest treasures right in your own backyard. but you can't reach it. You can't touch it. You can't even get close. That's the reality for thousands of people living along the Mississippi River. Brad Hicks shows us how they've been cut off from the river and the new effort to reconnect them.
Avery Pearl remembers running the gauntlet where he grew up.
Signs that say keep away, high voltage, you could die.
He just wanted to get to the river that runs behind his childhood home in East Moline.
We're cut off between the railroad, the electrical tower, the factory. It's a shame to be this close to the Mississippi River and not be able to actually access it.
The neighborhood, like other impoverished communities in the Quad Cities, is walled off from the water. The Quad Cities is actually 5 cities built on an industrial base, but in the 80s, when industrial jobs evaporated, they left behind a landscape of scrapyards and broken windows. Moline, like many cities on the Mississippi, plans to revitalize its riverfront.
We had an interstate here, and so when it was relocated, we really opened up our downtown for the possibility of development.
But often, those plans don't include the impoverished places.
Yeah, we do feel cut off.
Like Susanna Aguilar's Hispanic neighborhood. There's literally a brick wall between residents and the river, plus railroad tracks and another factory.
I would just like to see an easy access walkway.
She and Avery Pearl are now part of the solution, the Clean River Advisory Council. CRAC is bringing people from all walks of life into the conversation.
To ensure that there is equity surrounding the Mississippi River.
They're surveying overlooked residents to learn what they want from the river.
To make sure that, we're coming up with interventions or strategies so that then folks can actually do it.
It's a two-way street they want to build because there's no point connecting people to the river if it isn't clean, but the best way to keep it clean is for people to feel connected to it.
When you're not able to experience something, it's a lot harder to champion it.
So step by step, CRAC is helping these neighborhoods rediscover America's greatest river.
We're having conversations now that we weren't having 5-10 years ago.
In the Quad Cities, Brad Hicks reporting.
3 children here in Florida got quite the surprise at school this week.
And then I ran out over to the stage and I saw it, and then I'm like, oh, it isn't a dream.
Next at noon, the joyous reunion after their father returns home from deployment and how they planned to spend time with him.
been here for 100 years. You know, the oldest park in baseball. It's a real special place. So.
A $40 million upgrade is underway at one of Daytona Beach's most historic landmarks, Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Upgrades include new clubhouses, indoor batting cages, upgraded dugouts, and a development facility.
It'll house all the team facilities, so the locker rooms, all our training, the batting cages. So the batting cages currently are outside in left field. They'll move to an indoor facility, so it'll be much improved.
Daytona Beach Commissioner Ken Strickland says they plan to keep the space active year-round. All the renovations are expected to be completed in early 2026. All right, grab a tissue. Cameras were rolling when a dad surprised his 3 children returning home from his deployment. Emily Clegg shares the happy reunion.
I was like, is this a dream? And then I ran out over to the stage and I saw it, and then I'm like, oh, it isn't a dream.
But it was a dream come true for Briley, Dakota, and Scott Johnson when their dad, Air Force Sergeant Shane Johnson, returned home from his deployment.
They thought I was coming back about a month from now, so it was a good